monsters. Everything that brought me alive. Going around like monsters, playing with the monsters. They brought me alive, but got no alibi. It's a lover's fight without an alibi. Took my hands without an alibi.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Owlet tournament. I am your host and play-by-play caster, Reignbow. We've got an absolutely exciting match for you tonight featuring Hyperion versus Velocity Force. Joining me in the casting booth tonight is Bowsy, and we're going to be getting right into it here on Busan because we already were quite delayed. So yeah, can you tell us what this match is about here, Bowsy?
Absolutely. These are the two top teams in Owlet Minors Division, so no matter what, someone today is going to go home with their first loss. I don't know if I should be positive about that or negative about it.
I think it's going to be very exciting just to figure out who's like exactly the top dog in the Minors Division right now. Because as I said, both these teams absolutely undefeated, so it's going to be interesting to see who kind of gets that loss. Both these teams are going to be fighting their hearts out to try to, prove that they are the best team here. So what are we thinking of these comps?
The comps definitely look interesting. We do see two different styles of brawl here starting off. One is a Rein Zarya, one is a Rein Sigma. So we're going to see how that plays into both of these teams' strengths and or weaknesses.
Yeah, and I also think the Mei is versus the Sim is going to be interesting as well. Oakley kind of been playing a lot of that Sim, actually switching off to the Trace here, just using it for the rollout. Both these teams are going to be facing off, throwing those first, volleys at each other, trying to get any sort of damage in, get some picks. The wall is going to be going up, trying to separate Hyperion here. Not getting any kills off of it quite yet. A sleep does come down, but Stuff and Things is going to be the first to fall to just JoeKing. Losing that support is, pretty bad here, and we do see the Reinhardts facing off, and both of them end up going down here. Just JoeKing really getting all those kills for Velocity Force here, and they will be heading over to the point. Just need to make sure they actually do finish up these kills. Laceru and Plasma going down, and it will be the first point going to Velocity Force here with that last kill on the Stuff and Things.
Yeah, absolutely. Killing the healer first was the main draw. There. They were able to kill the main tank, but unfortunately, it just wasn't enough power in terms of Hyperion. So now Hyperion is going to be on the attack here with this Rein Zarya, which might not be good considering the double shield combo on the Velocity side.
Yeah, we'll see how this ends up going. They need to be able to get through this choke here, actually stop the space. With the Shatter coming down, it's not looking very good. Ult's getting thrown every which way, but it's going to be, Reed kind of coming on top with these kills. There's a lot of ult used on the side of Velocity Force, though. What do you think about that ult usage there?
I definitely felt like it was way too many ults that they invested into that fight, and not to mention, right when that fight was about to begin, Clown Dog hit a massive 6-man ante. You could have literally just saved every ult, pushed straight into the enemy team, and killed them all easily.
Or even just gone with that Shatter, because Reed already basically has it back, just 25% off. Ooh, but that great wall coming out from Xenon there is going to get them the kill onto Optics. They really don't need much else there. Reed just kind of throwing in that Shatter because he can. Oakley getting that kill onto Reed, though, which might give them the opening here to push through. And it looks like it is working right now with Laceru getting the kills onto Hyperion right now. Both these teams facing off. The wall does go up. Kill does come down onto Oakley, but it looks like it is going to be coming out on top for Hyperion here.
Yeah, I do feel like if you were Velocity Force, you did go a little too aggressive into that fight. Yes, Reed is a very aggressive Reinhardt and does have a very good ult charging rate. but that doesn't mean he's able to build it up so quickly and be able to stay alive for a long time. So now, Hyperion has control of the point and ult advantage.
Yep, we see the grab getting thrown down. Their wall to block it off prevents them from really doing a lot of damage there, but the shatter to follow up on it. It looks like it is going to be getting the kills, at the very least pushing them back, but with Optic going down, looks like it is still kind of going Hyperion's way, but there is that Deadeye they had to avoid there. Not going to be getting any value, and Hyperion's going to be looking to back up here. Plaza almost waited a bit deep there, but they are going to be backing up to this choke to kind of get everything reset here.
In the words of myself in Scrim sometimes, big slam out from Optic there. That was a 6-man shatter coming down on the side of Velocity Force, or at least on the side of Hyperion, but now Velocity Force trying to push in a different...
Yeah, I will say I like that Sim Telly to help with the rotation. Maestro is going to be falling first to Reed there. They are going to be pulling out the Coalescence from stuff and things, trying to, keep the team, get some extra damage in there. Sleep is going to be coming down onto Optic. Not quite getting the kill, but you see another one of those walls coming up, trying to split off the team, and they are going to be getting the kills coming through. Seven Things does land a kill onto Just Joe King, but it's going to be going the way of Velocity Force right now. Just kind of Lofty still standing. Seven Things takes a dive off the cliff, and Velocity Force will be recapping the point. Just one good fight left for Hyperion.
But look at the ult economy compared to Hyperion and Velocity Force. Hyperion have a Shatter, a Grab, a High Noon, and a Rally. On the side of Velocity Force, they only have that Blizzard and a Shatter. If you combine those two, it's winnable, but other than that...
They are going to be starting off with the Rally. The wall does come through trying to block them out. The Blizzard's going to be slowing them. Right now it's going to be, making sure they can touch point. The Deadeye comes through, not quite getting anything. They got Sleep there, actually, from Clown Dog. They were able to kind of make it to point, but the overtime is ticking down, and I'm not sure they can get a second touch. They did get it through, but Velocity Force is getting more of these kills through. The Deadeye is going to be getting dropped. Seeing if they can get any kills with it. It's just Optic trying to stay alive in the point. And it looks like he's going to be going down here, and ooh, the Genji is going to be making that last contest, and the ball coming in here as well. It's still not looking great for Hyperion, but they're trying to make that last stand, and it will be going to Velocity Force here on the first point of Busan.
I forgot, whenever ult economy is a game, in terms of my casting matches, it's always going to go to the person who has the least ults.
I mean, yeah, it's really all about how you use them, and if you can get that value. And I think, in part, also what lost Hyperion that fight was the fact that they had to touch point, and so you're kind of forcing your team to split up to make sure you get that point touch, and it put them in an unfavorable position there.
Absolutely. So we are not going to be seeing too many swaps, except on the side of Velocity Force. They are going to be switching over here to a Junk and an Ash setup, as well as a, I don't know, they run the Lucio on the last time. But Stuff and Things also on the side of Hyperion is going to be running the BAP here to start off. So it's very interesting comp swaps coming out from both sides.
Yeah, we'll see how that ends up kind of switching things around here as we start to get moving, and they are going to be facing off near the drum. Once again, just kind of in that pick phase, trying to just poke at each other and, see what they can get accomplished, but right now it's not much. You did see some HP loss there for Hyperion, but they're not able to secure kills, and as I say that, Lissaru goes down. And so losing that Brigida early on, not looking great for Hyperion, but Oakley fires back with a kill onto Xenon and the kill onto Pinet. Oakley doing well. Velocity Force does capture the point, but I think right now it's only a matter of time before Hyperion can swing it back around, getting those kills there. Plasma does go down. Lofty getting killed back on the Clown Dog, though, and it looks like it will be going to Hyperion. Just need to clean up the Lucio from point here, and it will be getting swapped over.
Yep, absolutely. Oakley's Widow definitely making the difference there. It is a big threat, I will tell you that, as someone who has personally gone up against it. So you definitely need to be careful of Oakley's Widowmaker, because it can turn fights in a fraction of a second. Yes, and we are going to be seeing Velocity Force kind of rotating around to meet Hyperion at drum here. Just trying to get some poke here. We do see the window getting popped, putting that extra pressure onto them, throwing down that extra damage from Hyperion, and the grab getting thrown down as well. With the addition of that window, they should be able to get some kills here, but nothing coming through quite yet. The Shatter getting thrown down. We will see the Tire coming out, going onto Hyperion, and that's what gets the value, getting a nice 3k. It's still pretty even between these teams in terms of kills right now, but, we definitely saw more ults coming out from Hyperion there. Absolutely, they did use the window, the grab, and the shatter on the side of Velocity Force. All they used was the tire, and even then, Xenon has just switched off to the Genji. So now you have an ult advantage of your Velocity Force. This should be an easy take.
Ooh, the shatter coming down gets 2. They're able to get the kill into Lissaru. And so it's looking pretty good for them. We see the Nano Rhine charging into the backline. They're trying to get some kills. Xenon is able to take out Oakley, and we do see the point flip over to Velocity Force. Xenon with another kill. The High Noon goes down, is able to take out Just Joe King. We do see the Beacon thrown down as well, trying to keep Velocity Force up here. And it looks like they will be able to just clean back up. I think that beat might have been, a bit excessive there, but they did win the fight, and that's what matters most.
I mean, if you're Hyperion, you have to be very glad for that ult usage, because they got rid of the big ultimate on their team, the beat. Now you pretty much have a free grab. You just have to watch out for Finet's beat. Other than that, really, it's going to be a decisive fight here, because maybe Velocity Force might be able to hold them back, but Hyperion does have a little bit of an ult advantage.
Ooh, and 7 things going down to Just Joe King is a really nice early pick for Velocity Force here.
Yep, what was I saying about that?
Yeah, so we will see them just kind of poke. They're waiting for their support to come back. The sights does get used by Just Joe King, maybe looking for an extra pick here to delay them even further. Nothing coming through quite yet. Velocity Force is playing this, or Hyperion's playing this very smart, I should say. Just waiting for that to come through. They're going to be rallying in here, throwing down the window as well, but the Flux is going to be coming through, putting in a lot of damage onto Hyperion. The grab getting thrown down onto Velocity Force mainly just captures the Sigma, and it's staying pretty even between these two teams right now, going back and forth. Hyperion is currently on top of Xenon, pulling out that blade. Looks like it's going to be swinging it in their favor, but Hyperion is actually going to be capturing the point here. Mainly just fighting, Just Joe King is trying to escape on that Widowmaker. Is going to be going down.
Yep, unfortunately that was not a good fight there for Velocity Force, and now it's pretty much no ult on the field, apart from Clown Dog's Nano. That could make a difference, especially, but however, I don't think it will, because Xenon does not have that blade for this fight, so it's going to be interesting to see how they use this Nano boost coming into this final fight here for Velocity Force.
Exactly, it's going to be coming down to that. We'll see the Nano getting thrown down onto Reed. Going to be putting some pressure on that Reinhardt, but Plasma with the first kill onto Kurt SR, taking out that support player. Both Rhines charging into each other. And we will be seeing Reed go down first, and then Stuff and Things falling as well. Things just going back and forth. Lofty with the 2K. Xenon firing back the kill onto Plasma. It's just really back and forth right now, trying to stay up. It looks like it's going to be going towards Hyperion right now, and they will be capturing this point. Oh, although Kurt is dancing around on the point, trying to keep it alive for his team, they need to take him out, and they will be doing just that. And so it is now 1-1 here on Busan.
Very good hold there from Hyperion, especially with the Nano boost coming in on the Reinhardt. They did pretty good in terms of securing those kills. It was a little scrappy, but then again, this is the Minors division. Not every fight is going to be perfect 6-0 on one side, but really good job there by Hyperion to claim that point. And now we head to downtown as the big change is heading on the side of Velocity Force.
I think one of the big things we need to be looking out for here is Reed's Winston. It's pretty well known. He does do amazing on that hero, so we'll kind of just have to see what ends up going on with that here.
The teams are running out now, and Plasma has actually switched off from the McCree over to the Ashe, so we're going to see how this DPS stiff will be putting in. Actually, they're running double sniper on the side of Hyperion, so we'll see if that double sniper works against this pretty much APAC dive.
Yeah, we're seeing the, double bubble there with Pinette, who did switch over onto the Zarya. Both these teams trying to face off. Lofty with the first kill, then Optic with the charge onto Reed. Looking really good for Hyperion right now. I think they were pretty prepared for this comp, and they're facing off against it well. They just need to take out the Zarya here, and the point is pretty solidly theirs. It's a really good showing from Hyperion, just not even seeming phased by the dive there.
Yeah, very good reactionary style from Hyperion as Stuff and Things gets that last kill on Just Joe King. But yeah, really reactionary style there, and I saw like some interesting things like Optic literally turning 180 just so he could charge Reed on that Winston. So really good reactionary style there from Hyperion. They have control of the point. Will they be able to keep it with this sort of like brawly spam kind of DPS style, or do you think that Velocity Force will be able to act upon it?
I think it'll be if Velocity Force can kind of change their style to adapt to how Hyperion's playing, and it's going to be the biggest determiner. But Plasma that first kill into just JackyB, it's, you know, already not looking great for them, but Pinet's able to fire back and take down Lissaru. And we do see Reed popping the Primal there, trying to put some pressure up. Just JackyB switching over to the Tracer. The window does get thrown down, and Reed is off the map, actually. And so it looks like it's going to be another fight win here for Hyperion.
Yeah, Reed obviously just happened to miss the train there. We don't want to talk about that, so... You also see just JackyB has swapped over to that Tracer. I don't know if you mentioned it or not, but this means that they definitely want to play more of a dive style than they are playing right now. Obviously, JackyB is not having a good day against Oakley and Plasma, so he obviously wants to try and get into their backline, try to bait those two out of their position, just to get some pressure onto them, and then everyone can start figuring in on them.
JackyB is even falling to the Baptiste there, so definitely not what you kind of want to be seeing, but we do see Reed trying to get that initial dive in. The Shatter's going to be coming out, not really getting anything. Xenos that first kill with the blade onto Oakley, looking pretty good, but the Bob is going to be taking down Reed there. And quickly Xenon falls as well. It's really just Plasma doing great to resist all the attacks from Velocity Force there on the Ashe. And it's just trying to keep this fight alive. Zarya is going to be going down. I don't think anyone else is going to be able to touch. So this Hyperion swinging back here on Busan and is going to be taking map 1.
And that Bob placement from Plasma was very well placed. He made it so that Bob was on the point, which made it so nobody could go for the point unless they wanted to face Bob straight in the face. So great job there from Plasma and all of Hyperion to take the first map here in this series. But it's not over yet if you're Velocity Force. You showed some signs of life. You can come back in this series.
Yeah, for sure. And so... yeah, so let's talk a bit about like the styles that we have going on between these two teams, and maybe how Velocity Force can adapt that style going forward to kind of bring it back in the next map.
I mean, definitely you're seeing that Velocity Force's dive style they were trying to run was not really working too well. I definitely feel like them running in the mirror composition with a brawl was their strongest point. And that's really something you have to try and analyze about these teams. Hyperion, obviously, they might not be too great on the brawl. They might be better here on the dive compositions or on spam compositions. If you're Velocity Force, you're probably much stronger on the brawl or the dive here. So really, if you're Velocity Force, try to force them onto that brawl mirror. You don't want them to run something wacky into you. You don't want to run something wacky into them. Try to force them onto that brawl mirror so you can have an advantage in this game.
So, I mean, which map would you go with? I mean, they're going to be going with Havana here. And I think that kind of plays into what you were talking about with the Brawl Mirror, because you generally don't see a lot of dive on Havana.
Yeah, I definitely feel like Havana is the stronger map of the three that we have here on the Escort in terms of countering a dive composition. Havana is mostly known as a spam and brawl type of map. There isn't really a lot of dive. The only dive you're going to be having is a Winston going up to the Widowmaker perch to try and get her off, but that's pretty much it. I mean, your other options are Dorado and Watchpoint Gibraltar, which Gibraltar is dive heaven, and you do not want to go to Gibraltar if you have a team that is very good at dive.
Yeah, but yeah, so I think it's going to be interesting going into this map, and cause it's just a lot of those kind of snipers facing off here. Alright, I'm getting very distracted. I apologize for that. But we also didn't quite have time at the beginning to talk about these two teams and kind of their history so far. We did. Hyperion's had 4 matches for it because they did participate in the preseason. But we kind of been generally seeing them go against the teams at the lower end of the bracket. So it's really interesting to see against them face off against a team that's, you know, more higher up in that people have generally been saying is doing a really good job in Velocity Force. And you know, I was definitely saying Velocity Force is looking really good. So I'm excited to see them maybe bring it back and try to even things up here. I think this could be a very close game between these two teams. But right now, Hyperion's looking pretty dominant here.
Yeah, definitely. Hyperion has been going the very easy opposition. I believe their hardest opponent right now, I believe, was MSBY Black Jackals, but I don't remember the schedule too much. All I remember is I played them. But regardless, Hyperion has been prompted with very easy opponents or mid-tier opponents in Owlet Miners. Velocity Force, on the other hand, has had some tougher competition, in my opinion. So the fact that these two teams are facing off against each other is pretty interesting, and it's going to be pretty interesting to see which of these teams does come on top, because both of them show a lot of strengths and all have some sort of weaknesses. So we'll see how this goes down. It really depends. Is Hyperion really a top team, or have they just been playing very bad opponents in the start?
Well, yeah, I think it's kind of hard to call anyone like really bad because they're all still pretty equal. It's why they're all in the same division.
That's true, yeah. You can't really call everyone bad.
I was looking at the match histories because we couldn't quite remember, and they faced actually pretty similar opponents in very similar parts of the bracket, so they both faced off Fire Nation, both doing pretty well. I think Velocity Force faced MSBY. I think the kind of most interesting one so far has been Hyperion versus Koala Kings, which we had on Friday. But even that was a 3-0. So, I mean, it's really interesting here. But I think that was Velocity Force's first map loss in this season. So you kind of have an idea if you're going to be going up against them, coming up here. You have an idea of what might beat them and how to strategize against that. So that's kind of what's interesting about seeing these top teams play is you kind of get to see more of their weaknesses for scouting.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's good to see like the sort of benefits that you can get from certain scouts. It's also like very painful to see all the weaknesses you can have. Like, as we've said, Stuff and Things, of course, is probably the Reinhardt Winston player on this team, and then you have you have other players on this team that may not be good at Reinhardt, they may not be good at Winston, they may not be good at Orisa. I mean, it really just depends on your scouting and how good your team really is in that sort of regard. I mean, you're definitely going to be seeing a lot.
And you mentioned Stuff and Things being the Reinhardt player. It's important to mention that they're kind of had to swap up some roles on their team. So we saw Stuff and Things on support. One of their DPS players is out, so they had to swap out some things because they weren't able to find a suitable ringer in time. So they just kind of had to play off roles here. So yeah, Stuff and Things is normally a tank player, but is on the support here, and Plasma kind of moving over to the DPS. So I think it's very interesting that even kind of on off roles they were doing so well against Velocity Force.
Yeah, absolutely. The fact that you can do very well on an off roll against what is considered the other top team in the division, that says a lot about you as a player and your team in general. Like, yeah, I mean, if you're losing to a team, if you're facing this team off against their sub roles and they're beating you, I don't want to imagine how hard it can be for them to play on their main roles.
Yeah, I mean, I know back in Season 2, Flashpoint, one of the top teams, had to sub out. They didn't have a proper main tank player for an entire stage. So it's definitely possible to kind of be playing off roles as long as you have the proper synergy and teamwork going on, and enough competence on the hero. Because obviously, if you just can't play a good main tank, it's not going to work. But we're definitely seeing that flexibility come out from Hyperion. We are having a very short pause as someone's ping is spiking. But let's start taking a look at some of these comps we have, starting with the defense here.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see a brawl composition coming out here, but this is probably because Optic, his tank pool pretty much consists of 3 players according to the sheet I have here: Zarya, Reinhardt, and Sigma. So maybe he's not proficient in a Winston or a Orisa composition. So that probably makes sense why they're running the Rein Zarya here. But actually, I forgot. This is Havana. You want to hold up close to the doors here. So that is what the team of Hyperion is going to be doing. They're going to use this brawl composition and just hold straight up in the faces of Velocity Force.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out, because it can be a really good play, but if Velocity Force can adapt quickly, this could go very badly for Hyperion and lose them more time than it gains them. So they're facing off. A good anti comes down onto Optic as they continue to chip away damage on him, but he is going to be getting healed back up. Oakley does fall to just JackyB though, and that could be the domino that loses it for them. Plasma's able to fire back with the kill onto Kurt SR. Kurt SR is going to have the faster respawns here, and that's, you know, kind of why it's a risky hold to hold so close to Lofty, and really the rest of the team is going to be getting those nice kills onto Velocity Force, so they are going to be winning that first initial fight of this, you know, early hold here on Havana.
And the thing is, they're still holding up close. Optic is just running back from spawn. That says that Velocity Force took a lot of time to set that up, and what is that I see on Velocity Force's side?
It's a Bastion, which is honestly a common play against this. Last time I saw a early hold here, the Bastion was pulled out, and it's how they kind of end up turning it around. We'll see how it ends up working out for Velocity Force here.
I mean,
they
definitely.
need that kill.
I could definitely see that, because you have no D.Va on the side of Hyperion. D.Va is the #1 Bastion counter when it comes to playing against one. So no D.Va means the only thing you're going to have to protect against that Bastion is that Rhine Shield, which will get burned down immediately, and the Bubbles, which will get burned down immediately. So if you're Lofty
you
and the
can't
rest
swap
of
to counter it
Hyperion,
anyway.
Yep,
The bomb does get thrown down, does get slept though, but it's going to be kind of forcing them back in the spawn. They can't really push out that way. The kill does come down to Kurt SR, so they have to wait once again. Eating a lot of time off the clock here. So right now it's not looking good for Velocity Force. They really need to get these wins. They do have some ults building up, but so does Hyperion. So they're gonna really need to, you know, get that initial kill, because that's really what matters here. The Nano Blade's gonna be getting thrown down, kill into Plasma. Shatter coming through, but 2 kills for just JackyB and no kills for Hyperion thus far, and it looks like it is going to be Velocity Force bringing this one out. Listeru does get a kill, but it's just not going to be enough with the spawn disadvantage that they have, and with that last kill, they just need to take out Listeru and Lofty here, and they will be able to get the cart moving.
And that was still a lot of time if you're Hyperion. Don't be disappointed about losing that fight there. Look at how much time you burned off the clock. You've burned 1 minute and 30. They're just approaching the first corner of the map. So now you pretty much only have like maybe 1 or 2 team fights to stall out point A and get a full hold here on Havana.
Yeah, it's a really great timing, and it buys you this extra good fight here, which is exactly what they're going to be doing now. They are facing off against a pirate ship here, so we'll kind of see how they're able to react to that. We are going to be seeing the grab get thrown down onto the high ground onto Hyperion, and 2 kills coming through. It's looking really good for Velocity Force, making a great recovery here. Optic does get the kill onto Reed, but Xenon just popping on that Bastion, something I absolutely hate to say, but it is true, and they are going to be getting the point A cap.
I hate to say this, but that grab was Lofty's. Just JackyB happened to deflect it straight back into him, and so that pretty much just ended the push there for Hyperion. Really good job by just JackyB on that Genji.
Yeah, and we do see Xenon swapping off the Bastion over onto the Tracer. But yeah, DPS doing a great job for Velocity Force right now. And so we are going to be seeing them starting to face off here on point B. Hyperion with the high ground, just trying to shoot down, put some damage in there, and Velocity Force continuing to move here on the cart. The Bob is going to be getting thrown down onto cart, preventing any movement until it is taken care of, and it's just going to be putting pressure, kind of forcing Velocity Force back a little bit, kind of making them have to recover here until they can push forward again.
And they also have an ult advantage here, so Velocity Force might just have a chance to just be pushing through point A.
Ooh, the Coalescence and the Shatter going down, with a counter Shatter also coming down as well. Navin Shatter is getting a whole lot. High Noon gets thrown down, but doesn't connect with anything. Optic and Listerud go down along with Pinet, so 2 and 1 for each side. The Blade is going to be coming through, getting Oakley, and it looks like it is definitely going for Velocity Force's side. They do still have a couple Hyperion players to clean up, and are going to be down, and so the next fight may well be going to Hyperion here.
It's going to be close. Hyperion is going to be coming back just barely. It is a 2v2. Actually, 2v3, never mind.
Yeah, reinforcements are definitely coming in here. The rally is going to get popped, trying to keep Hyperion up. Optic getting the first kill into Kurt SR, and now we have basically the entire teams for both back. and the Ryan's just kind of facing off. Optic is really just pushing Reed back into a corner there, and it is going to be a fight win for Hyperion as we head into the next fight.
Yep, definitely. But as you can see on the side of Velocity Force, they do have the Nano Boost and they do have the grab. They definitely do have the ult advantage here. Oakley does have the Bob, though, so they might be able to stall out for a little bit. And I see Xenon on the map. It looks like he's trying to go for a back tap.
Ooh, yep, they're starting, but they're going to notice pretty quickly there and put an end to that nonsense. But it does kind of pull Hyperion off the high ground a little bit, so it did, you know, achieve a positive effect for Velocity Force here, but Plasma getting that first kill onto the Ana is not a great start there. Plasma also getting killed on just JackyBing, and I think that's just going to be back to the spawn room for Velocity Force right now. Xenon does get a kill onto Plasma, though, so they might actually be able to continue pushing it here if they just delay a couple seconds trying to get that respawn in.
Yeah, it's going to be close to see if Velocity Force is going to push into this. They're probably going to wait for their other two players to come back, and then they're going to start engaging. As you can see, Xenon is definitely, like, trying to pressure out anyone who he can. Just trying to make sure he can distract someone from their current goal. He did get out Lofty's self-bubble, so maybe that's a big pusher. As you can see, they're pushing in now.
Yeah, we are going to see Reed getting nano, charge in, the grab getting thrown down. Trying to put the pressure in, no kills coming through. As I say that, something is going to be getting a nice 2k with the Coalescence. Not something you see a lot, but you know, there's a decent amount of damage coming through from that ult. An Optic getting killed into Pinet, and it just, you know, it looks like it's going to be Hyperion holding this. Just the Tracer and Lucio left, but they will be falling rather quickly. It's hitting overtime. The Deadeye is going to be coming out, which is going to prevent anyone from touching the point there. And so it will be Velocity Force getting stopped on point B of Havana.
Yeah, that was very sloppy from Velocity Force. They had a lot of good ults they used there, and they kind of used them very wrong. Reed charged past the grab, so he wasn't able to act upon that. His shatter got interrupted. It was just, it looked very sloppy on the side of Velocity Force. But regardless, Hyperion able to do... regardless, they were able to push it pretty far, despite getting held for about 2 minutes on the first point. So good job by Velocity Force to at least get it up to point B about.
Yeah, I mean, you do see a lot of teams get stopped on that point A, so we're able to make it to point B. Not somewhere you see it stopped a lot in Havana. Usually it's either, you know, at point A, or they're able to make it near to the end. So this is going to be interesting to see how this ends up playing out. And I'm curious to see whether Velocity Force is also going to go for an early hold here, or if they're going to go for kind of more traditional mid-hold.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like from the looks of it, they're only going to be holding up to the first corner from their current perspective, because I don't think they're going to be boosting forward anytime soon. On the side of Hyperion, though, you do see a few differences compared to their attack. For one, I see a Roadhog in play, and I'm scared. I see a Bastion now, and I don't think that's real.
It's something we strangely haven't seen out of this match yet, considering kind of the place Hog is in. Although in team play, there's a bit more resistance to the Hog, and you're able to coordinate more against it. But we are going to be seeing the Hog come out here, and I'm interested to see what Lofty is going to be able to do with it.
Yeah, it looks like if you're Velocity Force, you're running a more brawly spam kind of composition. You do have that Rhine in terms of a brawl composition, but everything else on your team says spam. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play the Rhine into this composition.
Yep, right now a lot of kind of free space coming in for Hyperion. Lofty with that first kill onto Xenon, removing one of the major points of spam for Hyperion right now. We do, for Velocity Force, we do see Lofty kind of trying to get a pull in the back. Doesn't quite get a kill off it, and just JackyB gets the kill into Plasma. But right now, Hyperion just kind of rolling through and has had very little point resistance. And it looks like they're almost going to get nearly 3.8 cap unless, you know, Velocity Force can put up a good fight here. But with Oakley kind of just knocking those dominoes over, it just looks like it's going to be basically a 3.8 cap. Just Xenon on the point right now, but he is going to be making his way out of there along with Pinet. Although Pinet does end up getting killed there, is really not what you want to see out of the point A, and they're going to have 5 minutes to get this point B cap. And since point B is usually just about eating time off and not really about stopping them here, this is going to be interesting to see how Velocity Force ends up playing this.
They've actually had Xenon switch onto the Genji here. I feel like Velocity Force might be in desperation times, but they do have some big ults. They do have Bob, they do have Amp Matrix, they do have Nano coming up, so there is a chance here for Velocity Force. It's just going to be dependent on how they use their ult.
Yep, exactly. You see the Coalescence and the Bob getting thrown down, but no value really coming yet. Plasma is able to take out the Bob, so that they can, you know, kind of continue moving forward here on the point. It's nearing, you know, kind of the cap point with Plasma getting the kill onto Reed. You know, kind of the stumbling blocks are falling. The Deadeye gets thrown down along with the rallies going to be coming out here from Hyperion. Plasma does fall to Pinet there, and the Nano Sigma is just getting forced into a corner by Lofty's ult. Xenon is able to get a kill onto Oakley, but it's really not going to be enough, and they're just trying to stall out time. We'll see if Reed's able to get any work done. He gets a nice shatter, but I don't think it's really going to be enough, as he does end up falling here. We are going to see the last distance come from just JackyB, but it's not going to be enough, and we're going to be seeing Havana go to Hyperion. So right now, it is currently 2-0 for Hyperion versus Velocity Force.
And a very interesting move there by Hyperion to run the Hog instead of running a normal Zarya or Sigma in a Brawl composition. So really good job there by Hyperion to be able to clutch out here on Havana. It was close on both sides, so great job there by Velocity Force and Hyperion. It's just Hyperion was a little bit better there on their attack. So it's going to come down to this next map. This could be a 3-0, or Velocity Force could come back with it.
Yep, we are going to throw to a quick 5-minute break here at the halftime. But make sure to stay tuned in and see if Velocity Force can bring it back and maybe get a reverse sweep onto Hyperion. Welcome back. It is Hyperion versus Velocity Force, currently 2-0 at the half right now, heading into our third map, which is going to be King's Row. So, Bazzi, tell us a bit about what's been going on in this matchup so far.
So far, we have seen a pretty much almost even duel between these two teams, but I feel like Velocity Force has been lacking a little bit in that fight. If you're Velocity Force right now, forget those other two maps. This is your time to shine. Regroup, re-synergize, get everything out, and you should be fine coming into this next map, which they have chosen King's Row.
And also, I just saw some swaps coming through, because I think just kind of refresh, bringing in some new faces is never a bad idea. They're going to be swapping out Pynet, who is on their off-tank role, for Arian K, and then switching out Just Joe King for Reverati, who is playing DPS on that hit scan role. So kind of bringing in some new faces here. But yeah, so we're going to be going to King's Row, which is kind of that Brawl v Brawl map.
Yep, and we talked about at the head of the broadcast about after the first map that we felt like Velocity Force were better when they were putting Hyperion on a brawl versus brawl situation. So maybe this is a strategy that Velocity Force is trying to use to take advantage of Hyperion's lack in a brawl v brawl situation. So we're gonna see what happens here with Velocity Force.
Yeah, and some we did see Hyperion pull out on Havana was Lofty on the Hog, which is, I don't think so much for the pick potential, but just to kind of split the attention of Velocity Force, and it was doing a pretty effective job of that. It kind of really split it up, and so they weren't able to focus as well on those targets and get the kills that they needed.
Absolutely. If I see a big fat man in my back line, I'm going to say, hey guys, we should definitely go for this guy. So apparently, it just caught Velocity Force off guard to see a Roadhog in their back line of all places. So they had to keep putting their focus on the Roadhog as well as put him on the front line. It just was sort of messy. But regardless, that map is behind us. Heading on to this map, I do see some pretty interesting compositions coming out from both teams.
Yeah, I will say I was liking Xenon on the Mei, but he is going to be switching over to the Sombra, so it's going to be interesting to see how that works. I always really like the Mei with the Reinhardt Brawl, especially on King's Row. You can play it really well and just win easy fights off of walls, if you can obviously execute them well. Yeah, so I'm going to be curious to see how kind of the DPS matchup goes. It's very different DPS. And Xenon is going to be switching over to that Mei, actually.
Yeah, most likely the Sombra was just a scout to see what they had up at the top while being invincible.
Yeah, so you're going to be seeing the teams kind of face off. Velocity Force kind of going around Statue and getting that wall, and not actually quite able to secure that pick onto Optic. It seemed to come really close there, but a lot of damage was coming into on Velocity Force as well, and we're going to be seeing Arian K and Xenon both going down there, and so they're going to have to, back up back to the spawn room and regroup there.
Yeah, absolutely. Oakley was in the back corner being able to do so much damage, and not to mention the rest of Hyperion were able to get into the slight hole that was in between the wall and the Mei wall. So really good job there by Hyperion to react to that wall placement from Velocity Force. Velocity Force, though, they're going to be at it again. See if they can try to get this push successful this time.
Yeah, pushing and getting another wall not quite as clean as the last one. Kills going to either side. Oakley really popping off here, though, with the nice 3K. Velocity Force was able to get a tick, though. So while the DPS did kind of crush the velocity attack there, they were able to get a tick and nearly 2 ticks. So not really what you want to see. You want to make sure you're maintaining that point presence, and if they can pull off a similar fight, I mean, that's point A. So, even if you are getting these kills, you need to be maintaining your presence on point.
There is definitely pressure being applied to Velocity Force here as Reverati has switched off to the Ash off of the Reaper, so definitely they're actually going straight for Oakley on this high ground. They want that man dead. He has killed their entire team twice. They want him out of the picture entirely.
No, fair enough, kind of forcing him to rotate away. It's going to be kind of giving you that advantage. They're going to be trying to drop in onto Owlet, and I got to say, Hyperion's positioning is very, very split right now, so this could be really good, but we're going to be seeing the Grav get thrown down along with the High Noon. Really a lot of ults coming out here from Hyperion. The B is going to be able to kind of put those shields up and kind of help counter it, and Xenon getting those 2 kills onto the DPS. You know, Bob is there, but Optic is coming back with his kills along with Lissaru on the Brigida. And it is going to be Hyperion coming out on top again. For a second there, I really thought, you know, Velocity Force was going to be able to pull that out after all, but it is just looking pretty solidly for Hyperion right now.
Yeah, that was a little scrappy there from Velocity Force, but they still had some positives there. They were able to get out a lot of ults on the side of Hyperion to the point where their ult bank is now completely empty. They have withdrawn all their money, and
Ooh.
What was I saying about
that early kill onto Xenon? Does have the Blizzard if he comes back, but Velocity Force is too far invested right now, so they do have to keep pushing here. It's going to be a while before Xenon's back, and Hyperion's kind of getting more of those kills here, you know, onto the tank line. And without your tank line, you really just can't push. You have no pressure to get you the space that you need.
Yep, and as I was saying about that ult bank, you now see Stuff and Fangs has another Coalescence. Optic is close to another Shatter. Lofty is going to have another grab. It's going to be close here, but Velocity Force, they do have 5 ults here on the field, so this fight is still winnable. They just have to use these ults more effectively than Hyperion does theirs.
Yeah, and make sure you use them first, because if you can fire the gun before they can, then, you know, you can kind of just win off of that. They are establishing that point presence. The Bob does get thrown in there. Looks like we'll be seeing that second tick come through. We saw Plasma trying to contest the point. The ults are going to be coming out, both those tank ults there. And it is going to be most of those kills going for Velocity Force, but Hyperion is still firing back. Lofty getting a nice 2k, 3k now. Optic is going to be going down after trying to get a Shatter off there. But Hyperion still contesting, and it looks like it's very... Oh, and Oakley just gonna get 3k to clean it up, nearly capturing point A to get them more time, but they weren't able to close it out on Velocity Force. And so now they just need to make sure that basically the Hyperion can't cap point A, because that's how close it was. They basically need a full cap here. 98.6%.
Yep, it's all point 1 from this point forward if you are Hyperion. Velocity Force, they have to make a miracle happen here. It is possible, though. They have brought this team to their knees long enough. It definitely could be possible. And I just want to point out some big plays there from the side of Hyperion. Like, one big thing I saw, Plasma went around through the hotel and then ended up flashing Clown Dog, canceling the Nano, which is not an often thing you see. That is a frame-perfect cancel, and Plasma just happened to hit it perfectly, so...
Yeah, and not trying to denigrate Plasma or anything, probably a lot of luck on the timing there.
Yeah, definitely.
It's pretty much impossible to do that on purpose, unless you have the biggest brain in existence. But it's still good, like, positioning-wise, to be in the position to be able to get that cancel off.
Yep, absolutely. So we are going to be seeing a different sort of composition coming out here from Velocity Force. They're going to be running a Pharah Mercy composition. So they're pretty much running their adaptation of a Spam Brawl combo. So we'll see if this works or if they're going to be going home early.
And we start to see the spam from the Pharah coming down. Just kind of hitting a couple shots, not quite getting any kills yet, but definitely kind of puts that pressure on. Just continuing to poke back and forth at each other as we see the main tank staying really close. Reed with that fire strike onto Stuff and Things is kind of sending Hyperion back. You know, no reason to risk continuing pushing. Reed also getting the kill onto Plasma, really hitting those fire strikes. But those fire strikes wouldn't be getting kills without the spam we see coming down from Xenon and Rotorati. Especially Xenon, who is already 2/3 on that Pharah ult.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of pressure coming in with this Pharah, and it seems to be working for now for Velocity Force.
Yeah,
but the problem is, you see, yep, Hyperion does have that hotel, and Oakley has switched over to the Widowmaker. He's had enough of these shenanigans.
Yeah, Oakley is staying main while the team rotates. Xenon with that kill into Lusaru. Good initial pick, and Stuff and Things going down. Xenon is wrecking on this Pharah right now. We'll be going down to Lofty, but you do have the Mercy who could get that res back up, and we are going to be seeing it come through, so it's still, you know, that 6 for Velocity Force right now. Lofty gets the kill into Kurt SR, but, you know, right now it's still not going to be enough, and I think there's going to be enough time for Kurt SR to come back when it really matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see, if you just look at the impact of this, look at the ult banks of both of these teams. On the side of Velocity Force, you have 4 ults. On the side of Hyperion, the only ult you have coming up right now are probably the Coalescence and the Shatter. That's it on the side of Hyperion. Again, it could come down to these two teams using their ults either the right or wrong way, so we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, we see the Coalescence is putting a lot of pressure onto Reed, but Xenon fires back with the barrage. Falling to Lofty, though, we do have that window up in the top corner trying to fire down damage onto Hyperion right now. Kirk gets the res onto Reed. Could be enough to turn the fight there, but the graph coming through. The Shatter to help counter and make sure that they can't get value off of that. Looks like it is going to be working, and they are going to be able to recover this fight. Plasma does get the kill on the Clown Dog, but I don't think it's going to be enough with those extra kills coming through. Optic trying to get the big slam, and does hit it, but you can't get any value off of it if you don't have a team to back you up. They are able to kind of have that one tick there, but you know, Velocity Force holding pretty strong right now.
If you're Hyperion, you want that Shatter back right now. Optic really just thought that was winnable, and he used it there. The only ult they have right now is in use, and that is Oakley's Impresight. But they still have potential. They do have a minute on the clock.
Another great fire strike from Reed.
But yeah, definitely, there is still hope. They have that rally. They might be able to build up some ults off the back of that. But other than that, it's looking rough. But Hyperion might be able to clutch it out, as we've seen them do before.
And Velocity could still fumble their ult, and then Hyperion's able to win off team play. We see that Flux coming down, but that's going to catch 4. It's looking pretty bad for Hyperion right now. Lofty is going to die there, along with Lissaru. Optic coming back along with Plasma getting those kills, but Reverati takes out Optic, and it's still looking pretty strong for Velocity Force to be keeping this point with those continuous kills coming through for them.
That was almost a disaster there for Velocity Force, and you can see now they're trying to run back to the point. This is going to be close. You see Lofty switch over to the D.Va just so they can touch the point. It's going to be close to the side if they are able to make it. Maybe Hyperion is able to clutch it out, but maybe it might be Velocity Force again.
Yeah, this Coalescence is coming on, doing a lot of damage to Reed right now. Might see him go down early yet again, and he is going to be falling to that Coalescence. Riverati getting a kill into Lissaru, though, and more kills coming through for each side, but right now it's kind of tipping towards Hyperion, but Riverati and Arian K bringing it back for Velocity Force, trying to keep this really even here. The Shatter coming through, could be swinging the tide, and it looks like it is going to be going to Hyperion here. It was so close, but they aren't going to be able to touch, and we will be seeing it go 3-0 in favor of Hyperion. I really thought Velocity Force was going to be able to bring it back there, but they just couldn't clutch up that last fight.
Yeah, it looks sort of scrappy there from the side of Velocity Force. They had a lot of strengths, but that last fight just didn't go their way. There was too much pressure applied to them on every side of the equation, and in the end, they just fell, and that is how Velocity Force ends their winless streak here in Owlet. Hyperion, though, will continue, and Velocity Force, you still have an entire season in front of you. Don't take this loss too bigly. You definitely can make a stance. You can get second place. You could become the next, like, Otter Oxide if you wish. You could come all the way from, like, maybe third or fourth and go get a championship. But overall, very strong performance from both sides here, but Hyperion, just the better team today.
Yeah, I mean, it was just really, it was looking like an off day almost for Velocity Force. I mean, Xenon was pretty on point the entire time, but, you know, last time I was casting Velocity Force, they were looking really strong, and it didn't seem like quite the same team in this matchup. Hyperion was just staying solid the entire time, really kind of just had that great teamwork, great individual plays as well. And we're just looking really strong throughout this entire match, and Velocity Force just wasn't. And also as a reminder, some of them were playing off roles because they had one of their DPS players out. So Stuff and Things, normally a tank player. Plasma does kind of fluctuate in that DPS and support, but you know, that's kind of something to kind of keep in mind for this matchup. That, you know, they weren't even on their main roles. But so we are going to throw it to a quick break and bring it back with an interview with one of the Hyperion players.
It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity. It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity.
Welcome back, and sorry for the delay with the interview, but we are here with Optic from Hyperion after their 3-0 victory over Velocity Force. So congratulations on that win, Optic.
Yeah, thanks.
So you guys were looking pretty clean throughout this entire match and had a pretty convincing 3-0, honestly. And both teams coming in as undefeated teams. So we're kind of anticipating it to be pretty close, but you guys were looking really clean, especially with the fact that you were down one of your main players. So were you guys kind of confident coming to this match, or were you worried to be going up against a top team?
I mean, I don't want to say we weren't like nervous at all, but like, I mean, we were prepared. So like, we did some research and stuff, and just kind of looked into what they play, and then kind of just practiced what we needed to, and then so like, I mean, there's always nervous going into a game, but we had confidence that we were able to pull out a good win.
Yeah, and I think it definitely showed your preparation for facing up against them. Because Reed's kind of well known for that Winston play, but you guys just didn't even seem phased by it. Like on downtown for Busan. But so yeah, kind of. What were your thing with some comps? You guys didn't play too much of the Hog. We saw Lofty pull it out in Havana. But considering that that's generally considered one of the strong things, is there a reason you guys didn't pull it out? Just don't like the Hog Zarya too much, or?
Well, see, here's the thing. Kind of a funny story. I am technically not even the main tank for this team. So we had a ringer that it fell through at the last second, so we had to shift our roster around a little bit. And normally on like the first map for Control, I'm the one that plays Hog, and then they'll pull me in if they want me to play Hog on other maps. But we had to shift the roster around a little bit, and I got bumped up to Reinhardt, and that was just what we were comfortable with. That's what we practiced with me on the Reinhardt playing the main tank role. So that's why we went with more of like the strict like Ryan Zarya, Ryan Hog, and stuff like that, just because it was more of what we had practiced.
Got it. So yeah, I mean, you guys kind of lost that first point on Busan, but you guys were able to kind of bring it back. We're looking really good on Havana, especially with that really close hold at point A. But I kind of want to talk about King's Row because that's kind of our closest map. Were you guys kind of worried when you started when you kind of get to that last fight? Kind of what were you able to just kind of bring it back and kind of stay confident throughout King's Row?
It's the usual, like when you lose like a fight or two, and then you find yourself running into a brick wall over and over again. We just had to like literally just right before that last push, we like just took a second, regrouped, talked about what we were doing, and then went in, and then it ended up working out. So
got it. And so there's always can you kind of talk about how you just kind of talked about it? Is there anyone you kind of want to shout out on your team that's kind of like the in-game leader, the shot caller on your team, or any coaches that are really good at kind of that behind the scenes work?
Yeah, we're all really loud, but shout out to Stuff and Things. He's kind of like our shot caller, and he's normally the main tank, but we had to shift him over to support. So it was kind of different having him do a little bit of the shot calling in the back and stuff. But then we also have Oakley, one of our DPS, and he does a lot of shot calling too. But coach wise, we have always hashtag plug always tired _ on twitch.tv or whatever it is. He's awesome.
Yeah, Baz, do you have any questions kind of about what happened during the match?
I mean, the only thing I would really talk about is like you really seem to like be like effective on that Reinhardt, and you really did not want to switch off like that brawl composition despite what was being thrown at you. I mean, you definitely had the Reinhardt, especially in compositions that may not have required a Reinhardt. Was that just like willingness to play that Reinhardt more, or did you feel like it was like just playing into the composition you wanted to play?
It's a little bit of both. It's just a lot because with this Confiesta meta, there's like a lot of confusion on what's supposed to work and stuff. So like we're very much we like to play what we know we're good at, and because this new meta is kind of all over the place, it really helps if like your whole team knows what they're doing on their role. So I think like even if like say with Brawl, like so right now Brawl is not as strong as it used to be, but because we're all comfortable on all these roles, we can counter a lot of comps that are strong right now just because it's what we're used to.
Yeah, for sure. And so I kind of want to talk to you about some of your upcoming matches. You guys are going to be going up against Kraken Skulls next week and as well as Vote Meme Today. And I kind of want to talk a bit about the Vote Meme Today because they're another one of the top teams right now in minors. So are you guys going to be doing a lot of prep and like a lot of that kind of research to play around their comps? And are you guys confident going towards that matchup?
Yeah, absolutely. We look into like just the previous games if they were streamed or some of the VODs and stuff. We like to research what they like to play, and then when we do our scrims, we like to practice around what we're gonna go up against.
Nice. I'm really excited to see how you guys continue to perform, as we go throughout the season. And I do love you guys. You guys are really, nice and friendly people and have a really good team. But I also love to see the top teams fall. So I'm curious to see if that's going to be happening.
We'll take note of that.
But I mean, right now, I'm, not quite seeing where it's going to happen because I thought if anywhere it was going to happen tonight. So you guys definitely are a force to be reckoned with.
We're loving it. It's a ton of fun.
Yeah, Bowsy, any last questions from you?
I don't really have much for now, but yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for talking to us, Optic. Congratulations again on the win, and good luck going into your future matches. Though I don't think you'll need it. You guys have skill pretty well on your side.
Always gotta have some sort of luck. So.
Yeah, you gotta have luck.
Yeah. But yeah, so thank you guys for coming and watching the stream. There is still going to be one more streamed match tonight, which I believe, let me just check on that, is going to be Koala Kings versus Kraken Skulls over on Silence channel. So make sure to tune into that. It's going to be another exciting matchup. But yeah, that's all we have for you tonight.
Awesome. Thank you.